Hey, welcome back to our 2026 PMP Exam Strategy Series. Today, we're diving deep into principle number 2, create a collaborative project team environment. Now, this isn't just some nice-to-have guideline. Oh no, this is the fundamental skill that really separates the good project managers from the truly great ones. It's the key to unlocking psychological safety and building those high-performing teams that just knock it out of the park.
So here's how we're going to break it all down. First, we'll lay the foundation of the principle itself. Then, we'll talk about the stakes, why this is so critical for the 2026 exam. After that, we get into the fun stuff, your practical toolkit. We'll also cover how to spot those tricky exam distractors, and then wrap up with the real prize, the high-performance payoff.
All right, let's start at the beginning, with the foundation. The official PMI wording is, create a collaborative project team environment. Sounds simple enough, right? But what does that really mean in the real world when the pressure's on and you've got deadlines breathing down your neck? Well, you can think of this principle as having 4 essential parts. It all starts by making the environment safe and supportive, a place where people actually feel they can speak their mind. And that naturally leads to it being inclusive, because you're not just allowing different perspectives, you're actively seeking them out. Now, when people feel safe and included, that's when you can truly empower them to take ownership. And the glue holding this all together? A culture without fear of blame, where mistakes aren't career enders, they're learning opportunities. That right there is the anatomy of collaboration.
So we've got the what down, but let's talk about the why. Why is this one principle so incredibly important for passing your PMP exam? What are the real stakes here?
And let me tell you, the stakes are high. First off, just look at the numbers. The people domain where this all lives makes up a massive 33% of your exam score, 1/3. Second, and maybe even more important, it's about the mindset. This principle is the absolute heart of the PMI shift away from old-school command and control to the servant leadership model they expect you to master. So for any question you see about team morale, conflict, or performance, this is the lens you have to use to find the right answer.
Okay, so let's shift gears from the why to the how. How do you, as a project manager, actually go about building this collaborative environment? It's time to open up the toolkit and see what's inside.
You know, you can think of this like you're an architect building something amazing. The foundation you have to lay first is trust and respect. You do that by working together to create a team charter. It's like your social contract that sets clear expectations. On top of that strong foundation, you build 2 main pillars: psychological safety, which makes it safe to try things and even fail, and inclusivity, which makes sure every single voice is heard so you can avoid groupthink. And what do those pillars support? The ultimate goal: real empowerment, where the team has the authority to make decisions. It all builds on itself. So what are the actual tools you'll be using? Well, it really comes down to 5 key actions. 1, you facilitate team agreements right from the start with that team charter. 2, you proactively remove impediments. You don't let toxic behavior fester. 3, you celebrate learning from experiments, reframing what failure means. 4, you practice active listening to draw out those quieter team members. And 5, you promote mentorship to build skills across the entire team. These aren't just one-and-done tasks. They're your daily practices. Now for a skill that is absolutely crucial on exam day: recognizing the wrong answers. See, understanding Principle 2 isn't just about knowing what to do, it's also about knowing what not to do, and spotting those tempting but incorrect answer choices. Think of this as your exam distractor detector. The PMP exam is going to give you choices that fall into one of 2 camps. The wrong answers, the distractors, will almost always be about old-school command and control tactics, things like micromanaging or pointing fingers. The correct answers will always reflect a servant leader approach, focusing on outcomes, not tasks, fixing the process, not blaming people, and facilitating a solution instead of just ignoring conflict. Your job on the exam is to spot that command and control option and know right away that it's the distractor.
Let's get even more strategic for exam day. When you get a situational question about a team that's struggling, run this 4-step diagnostic in your head. 1, check the team charter. 2, assess for psychological safety. 3, bring the team together to work on a solution. 4, address the system, not just the symptom. And here's the big pro tip. Really lock this one in. An answer where the PM facilitates a discussion with the team is almost always going to be better than an answer where the PM tries to solve it all alone. That is a huge pattern to look for.
So we've covered the what, the why, and the how. But what about the so what? What's the end game? What's the ultimate result when you really succeed in creating this collaborative, psychologically safe environment?
This graph shows it all perfectly. When psychological safety is low, your team is stuck down here in the blame culture slump. They're stagnant, they're unproductive. But watch what happens as you, the leader, intentionally start building that safety. You don't just get a little bump in performance. You hit an activation curve and performance just shoots up, exponentially. That's how you get into the high-performance zone. It's the direct, measurable payoff for mastering principle number 2.
So look, if you take only one thing away today, please let it be this. A collaborative environment built on psychological safety isn't just a nice-to-have soft skill. It is the absolute non-negotiable foundation for creating high-performing teams and for crushing the people domain of the PMP exam.
So what's next? Well, in our next explainer, we're going to build right on top of this by tackling principle number 3, effectively engaging with stakeholders. If you found this breakdown helpful, do me a favor and hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss the rest of the series.
Learning Reinforcement Engineering Collaboration.
The 2026 PMP exam evaluates project management as a behavioral discipline, testing a candidate's ability to navigate complex social dynamics. Within the current exam structure, the people domain accounts for 33% of the total weighting. Achieving a passing score in this domain requires moving away from traditional command and control leadership instincts. The modern PMI mindset centers on servant leadership. The leader functions as a facilitator within an interconnected network rather than a distant authority figure. This approach provides the stability necessary to coordinate hybrid, remote, and globally distributed teams. Relying on dictatorial management styles when answering situational questions will lead to incorrect choices in the 2026 exam format. PMI principle number 2 is create a collaborative project team environment. This environment is a deliberate construction, a space designed to be safe, supportive, and inclusive for every contributor. Success is measured by the team's willingness to take calculated risks and propose unconventional solutions without fear of professional consequences. Principle number 2 serves as the primary diagnostic lens for any exam question involving low morale or team friction. Collaboration is the engineered baseline that must exist before technical project work can effectively begin. Building a high-performing team requires the assembly of 4 distinct structural layers. The bedrock of the model is psychological safety. This describes a state where team members feel secure admitting mistakes or asking clarifying questions. If this safety is missing, team members hide errors and withhold dissenting opinions, masking critical project risks. Trust and respect form the vertical supports of the environment. In project management, these values are codified in the team charter. The team charter acts as the social contract, defining the ground rules for how the team interacts and resolves disagreements. Connecting these supports is inclusivity. This requires the pursuit of diverse perspectives to ensure the team does not succumb to groupthink. At the center of this framework is empowerment. Empowerment involves shifting decision-making authority to the individuals closest to the actual work. A failure in any of these 4 areas creates a structural weakness that the PMP exam will target in situational scenarios. Without this architecture, frameworks like Scrum or Kanban lose their efficacy, as the data shared during team ceremonies becomes filtered by self-preservation. To operationalize this framework, a project manager must take 5 specific actions. First, facilitate team agreements by drafting the team charter during the project's initiation phase. Second, remove impediments by actively dismantling rigid organizational silos and immediately addressing any toxic behavior the moment it surfaces in the team. Third, celebrate learning. In a collaborative environment, a failed experiment is treated as valuable data rather than a cause for reprimand. Fourth, practice active listening. The project manager must ensure that even the quietest voices are heard during planning and retrospectives. Fifth, promote mentorship. Setting up cross-functional shadowing builds a self-sustaining ecosystem of support. In this context, the project manager functions as a protective shield and an active facilitator for the team's performance. Success on the exam requires identifying the distractor minefield, tempting answer choices based on outdated management styles. The first trap is micromanagement. Answering a question by telling the team exactly how to perform a task is an incorrect choice. The second trap is creating a blame culture. This occurs when root cause analysis is used to find a scapegoat rather than to improve a system. The third trap is conflict avoidance. Ignoring friction during the team's storming phase allows issues to fester and degrade performance. The final trap is making unilateral decisions. Selecting a technical solution without consulting the team violates the principle of empowerment. The PMP exam identifies candidates who revert to command and control under pressure. Recognizing these distractors is your primary defense. You can apply a 4-step algorithm to any question regarding an unmotivated or conflicted team. Step 1. Verify if a team charter exists and is followed. Step 2. Assess the group's psychological safety. Step 3. Bring the team together for a collaborative solution. Step 4. Target systemic root causes, ignoring personality clashes. This leads to a reliable exam heuristic. Facilitating a meeting with the team aligns more consistently with the scoring key than deciding alone. This algorithmic approach ensures your answers remain aligned with principle number 2. A collaborative environment is the structural prerequisite for high team performance. If this strategy helped you, please like the video and subscribe for the rest of the 2026 PMP series.